So I've been experimenting different ways to pass a knot while rappelling. It's important to know how to do because a lot of fixed lines end up getting beaten down, getting core shots. They're isolated with alpine butterfly knots, and then you have to pass the knots while on rappel. Or if you're doing a long rappel, tying two ropes together, you've got a knot, you've got to know how to pass. You can do this using a releasable knot like a Munter-Mule-Overhand, but that usually requires a cordalette with a really long tail. And a lot of us rappel without cordalettes. Or you can also do it with 4 or 5 slings, but a lot of times we don't have 4 or 5 slings when we're rappelling. So the other thing we can do is 2 lockers, 1 sling, our personal anchor system, and this I think is probably the simplest way to pass a knot. So all you need is a personal anchoring system, which most of us use when we're rappelling anyway, 2 lockers, and a sling, and that's it. All right. So first things first, you're approaching the knot to be passed, and you want to stop right when the knot's about level with your harness. I'd say about 1.5 feet, 2 feet away, and there we go. And the first things first, you tie a backup knot, just in case when we're transferring our weight onto the prisic, if the prisic slips, then we got a backup knot. All right, there we go. Second thing, we tie our prisic. Use our sling. Doesn't hold as well as a cord does, so you just want to give it an extra wrap, maybe 4 or 5 times around. It's 4, 5, and I do a climb heist, so it's looped through the top, down, and then with your second binger, the locker, you just clip this to another loop of your PAS. The key thing here is when you're doing this, you're going to transfer weight on this, so this has become taut. You just don't want to pin the handle of the gree-gree when you're transferring weight. So you want to just make sure that this strand is on the opposite side of your gree-gree as the handle. All right, lock it, and then transfer the weight. There we go. So now we're totally hanging on the prisic, no weight on the gree-gree. I got my backup knot, so now I'm going to release the gree-gree. And then I'm going to transfer the gree-gree to below the knot. Now, key thing here is all my weight is on this PAS. So when I hook up the gree-gree, I'm going to want to weight the gree-gree and unweight this. So that means the gree-gree cannot go on the PAS, it has to go onto the belay loop. Because if it goes onto the anchoring system, then when I weight the gree-gree, this system is still going to be weighted and I can't transfer my weight. So onto my harness, but in a different system than the prisic is, okay? So now I've got my gree-gree in this, 2 points, so I can release my backup knot. And I'm actually going to take this knot out and tie another knot in the rope to use as a leg loop. The length at which you tie this loop to step into is tricky because you want it close enough to the gree-gree so you can reach up to the rope and release this. If it's too low, then you're not going to be able to step up and release the weight onto your prisic, okay? So we'll guess, I don't know, 2.5 feet away. You're going to tie a loop big enough to step into. Look at this. And we'll see if this is high enough now. So where I'm going to step into the leg loop to unweight this prisic. So this is nice and loose. I release it. I'm going to slide it down and then go back down the rope. And now I'm hanging onto my gree-gree. There's no weight on my prisic. I can now undo the prisic, and I'm hanging totally on my gree-gree, but it is kind of backed up with this knot because if the auto function on the gree-gree, the auto lock, didn't lock for whatever reason, it would just slide down and get caught on this knot. which would be a pain, but it's still keep you from going all the way down. Now, I untie this knot, and now I've successfully passed the knot. My gree is on the bottom side of the knot, and I can continue rappelling on down.